This question here was the 2017 question, and it says draw each of the following three functions in the domain -2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 2. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here to have a look. So draw each of the following functions. So when I think of a function, I think of something that just relates inputs to outputs. So I feed it inputs. The values we use for that are what's called the domain. And then we see what are the corresponding outputs. Okay, so we normally draw a table when we're doing this. Okay, so my x values, my function, my y values, and what's called my couples. Okay, so your x values comes from here. -2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 2. They're called your domain. You have to know that word and what it means. It's what we call inputs, and outputs then are your range. So x values, we're going from -2 all the way up to 2. So x can take on the values -2 to 2. Okay, and you can decide what you're going up in steps of. We normally do go up in steps of ones, unless the domain is quite large. So maybe it's like from -30 to 30, then you wouldn't make sense to go up in ones. You'd go up in 5s or 10s. Okay, so they are my inputs. So I have taken my inputs from the domain. Right, function is next. So when we see the function, it's a relationship between x is the inputs and y is the outputs. So x gets replaced with the value that's here on the left. Okay, that's how it works. So in other words, this becomes -2 -1. So instead of x, I put in this value. This becomes -1 -1, 0 -1, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can see that the -1 doesn't change. It's what we call a constant. So that stays the same all the way down. The only thing that changes is the x values. Okay, and then you work out your y's. So you can do this on your calculator or in your head if you can. -2 -1 is -3. -1 -1 is -2. 0 -1 is -1. 1 -1 is 0. 2 -1 is 1. Okay, and then your couples. So when you are plotting, you always plot x, comma, y. So it's called an x coordinate and a y coordinate. In other words, we go over a certain length on the x-axis and we go up or down on the y-axis. Okay, I could also go over this way on the x-axis and I could go up or down on the y-axis. So if I was to plot this point, it is x, comma, y. That's my x, that's my y. Okay, this one, the next couple is -1, comma, -2. Again, x, comma, y. X, comma, y. X, comma, y. X, comma, y. Okay, and then I plot them. So -2, -3. So this first one here. So cross to -2 and down to -3. Okay, and that's how I end up here. So it's kind of its location on a map. Okay, so I'm at -2 on the x and I'm at -3 on the y. So that dot there is the location -2, comma, -3. The next one, -1, -2. So I'm going to come across to -1 and down to -2. And this bit I'm doing with the laser, you don't have that on your graph, you just have the dots. So that's -1, -2. The next one is 0, -1. So this is 0 here. So this point here, I'm just going to write it is 0, 0, okay? It means I haven't gone over anywhere on my x, that's 0, or I haven't gone up or down on my y. That's why that one's 0. Which means if I need to plot the point then 0, -1, I don't go over or back anywhere on my x, I stay here, but I do go down to -1. So that dot there is 0, -1. The next one, 1, 0, over to 1, but I don't go up or down anything. And the next one is 2 and up to 1. Okay, and when you plot them, you get a nice straight line. Okay, so I'm just deleting out the red bit for now, and then I'll put back in my line. Okay, so that is the function y is equal to x -1. And you do that for them all. So this was a relatively easy question on the 2017 paper, relatively easy because when you get one here that's plotting graphs, it can be easier than one of the more wordy questions, depending on your math skill sets. Okay. And they're all the same. So I'm going to do x again, my function, y, and my couples. Okay, so x, my new function now is 2 minus x squared. You can see I'm getting it from here, y, and my couples. Okay, my x is the same, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. 2 minus -2 squared. Okay, you can see I left the minus here, that's important. And then -2 went into a bracket to be squared. Okay, 2 minus -1 squared, 2 minus 0 squared, and so on forth. Okay, now you can do this on a calculator. Okay, and the steps are as follows. So hit the mode key and hit 3 table. Okay, now I am on FX83GT calculator. So when I hit table then, I get f of x equals, and it's flashing at me. Okay, so I put in 2 minus, I'm getting that from over here, and then I need to put in x squared. Okay, and if you see x, it's a red letter X, and it sits behind the comma button. Okay, so you need that big red X squared. So to get that red X, you go alpha, that's to the left of the round button, so alpha bracket. So 2 minus x squared, and you hit equals. It then asks you for start, question mark, and it's the x values you want to start at. So we put -2 in for this one. So -2, and you hit equals. We then get end, question mark, and we put in 2 for that one. And then we go step, question mark. And that's what are you going up in steps of? So we're going up in steps of 1. And you hit equals. And then in the f of x button, so where I have written down y here, is our answers. So I'm getting -2, 1, 2, 1 and -2. So my couples are -2, -2, -1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 1 and 2, -2. Okay, so if I'm to plot these then, -2, -2 is here. -1, 1 is up here. 0, 2 is up here. 1, 1 is here. And 2, -2 is back down here. Okay. So this is what's called a quadratic curve or a sad face. Okay, and try and keep that curve as natural as you can. Okay, and then the same thing again down here. So it's a slow question, I think, rather than a hard question. So my x values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. My function in this case is 2 to the power of x, 2 to the power of -2, 2 to the power of -1, 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2. My f of x values. So it's up to you whether you put it in the calculator as an f of x. Just make sure that, so it's 2 to the power of x. So make sure when you're putting it in that you go 2 and then you hit the x button like that. Okay, because that gets you to jump up to the power. So 2, that X button with the box in it, and you'll see you should get this where it's flashing a box, okay? And then you put your red X into that one, your red X being with the alpha bracket like I showed you earlier. Okay, and that's how you get in 2x into the brackets. Again, start at -2, end at 2 in steps of 1. So I'm getting 0.25, 0.5, 1, 2, and 4. Okay, so let's plot that one. So at -2, it's 0.25, which is a quarter. So I would say that's a half. So that's a quarter down there. So it'll be somewhere here, just above the 0 line. So then I get -1.5, so I'm up another bit. 0, 1, 1 goes to 2, and 2 goes to 4. So this is what we call an exponential curve, where it stays flat and then just takes off. Okay, and as part of your course, you have got to be able to recognize a quadratic by either the function or the curve. You've got to be able to recognize an exponential by the type of function or the curve, or a linear function or by its curve. Okay, and then that concludes the 2017 question.